Hello. I've been sitting here for more than an hour trying to work out what I'm going to say, or in fact whether I'm actually going to make a video at all. I wanted to talk about the ideology of materialism. I've called it an ideology, meaning that if you're a materialist, everything you say, every argument you put forward, has that absolute presupposition that science has the last word when it comes to explaining what happens in reality. Everything in the universe conforms to the laws of physics. And even though there are lots of things that we can't explain at the moment, at the present time we don't know what dark matter is, for example, it's assumed absolutely that physics will have the answer. At the time of Descartes, and I talked about Descartes in my last video, it was not just possible to believe, but the dominant ideology was Catholicism. And the idea that the universe is created, that human beings are created, that whatever laws there may be are laws decreed by God. And Descartes put forward the view that God created two kinds of thing: material substance that obeys the laws of mechanics, and mental substance that thinks, feels, acts, etc. And he saddled himself with a very big problem of explaining how these two worlds, these two kinds of substance, interact. Now, I've expressed extreme doubts about materialism. I've called materialists cretins. And you might say I haven't really got an absolute knockdown argument. This is the problem. I've got a formula which I call the idiotic conundrum, which I've repeated several times now. I might not have existed, but someone exactly like me might have existed in my place. And what that implies for me is that my existence here, now, at this moment, cannot be explained by the physical facts alone. Because given all the physical facts, there could have been someone exactly like me making a video exactly like this. Well, making this video, not just exactly like, making this very video, this physical entity that's going to go off into the internet. But the person making it would not be I, because I would not exist. So whatever I am, I can't be physical. That's my argument. But a materialist, excuse me, a materialist has got a reply that knocks that flat. The materialist can say, well, look, you don't know that a physical system configured in the appropriate way wouldn't be conscious. And if it could be conscious, then it would say the very things that you're saying. It would think the very things that you're thinking. If it were possible to create an AI, or to make a human being by putting the bits together, or whatever, if we absolutely could show that it worked, that nothing more was needed, nothing extra that was non-physical was needed, then whatever you think, whatever counterfactual assertions you make, or modal assertions about possible worlds or what might have been the case, has an explanation. We don't know what it is exactly, but we know that it's just an illusion. You're under the illusion that your existence is something additional to the physical facts. And in fact, right back when I did my doctoral thesis, this was basically the line that I took. I called it the ego illusion. But I ended in my last chapter by saying that there was an unresolved problem explaining where the illusion comes from. Because knowing that it's an illusion doesn't make it go away. I mean, okay, there's something, what I wanted to say was this, that there's something fundamentally wrong about any theory or position that has an argument so powerful that it knocks everything flat in one go. It's something to do with, something connected to Karl Popper's criterion of falsifiability that is intended to demarcate science from non-science. A theory has to be falsifiable. A theory that's so good that no experience, no experiment could refute it. It's not a scientific theory. If, for example, there are invisible Martians who share this attic with me, and they don't move anything or touch anything, they just observe me, nothing would refute it. It's not a scientific theory. I might believe it, but that belief would be irrational in the sense of critical rationality as defined by Popper and Lakatos. A certain way of thinking is definitive of rationality. And believing things that, for reasons that absolutely cannot be defeated, is suspect in itself. And that's why materialism is suspect. And I come back to the idea that, okay, the brain is incredibly complex and we don't know exactly how it works. There's something electrical, there's something chemical, whatever it is. Ultimately, it's mechanical in the sense that you could duplicate anything that could run a program, you could run on something mechanical. You could run it on a trolley, on Turing's trolley going up and down a very long tape. And it seems to be utterly fantastical that a trolley going up and down a very long tape, or a skyscraper 1,000 miles high with clerks passing pieces of paper to one another, or whatever, would be conscious. It's ridiculous. Incredible. But if you embrace the materialist ideology, then all you will say is, well, I don't know how, but I just know that it would be, I just know that consciousness is physical and that's it. And of course you can't disprove it. You can't, you might at some point find, you keep on running against a brick wall when you try to create an AI. And you keep on finding explanations of why isn't it working? Why can't we make something that's a genuine AI? But you can't prove that it would be impossible. That's something that can't be disproved. So that materialism is absolutely irrefutable. But I know it's wrong. I absolutely know it's wrong. And I was trying to find a way into this, a way of, making progress, because it's like you come to a dead stop. And I was thinking about a quote that from a film, Terminator 2, that I put in Philosopher's Bible. This is my most recent book. And it's a funny conversation between John Connor and T-800. So I'm reading now. John Connor asks the Terminator, "Doesn't it hurt when you get shot?" And T-800 replies in a flat voice, "I sense injuries. The data could be called pain." That's the first quote. And the second one is from Prometheus, which was the follow-up movie to the 4 Alien movies. And after that came Alien Covenant. So in Prometheus there's an AI called David. He's not just an AI, he's an android. So he is a synthetic human being He has many of the characteristics of a human being, but as we find out in the film, I mean, he isn't literally made of flesh and blood. He's made of something else that mimics or reproduces the human program, whatever that is. And he's watching that great film Lawrence of Arabia. And this is the scene where they're in a sort of a common room together, and Lawrence snuffs out a match with his fingers, and the other soldiers around him are sort of a bit surprised at this, and one of them is called Potter. So he tries to copy Lawrence's snuffing out a match with his fingers. Ooh, it damn well hurts. Certainly it hurts. Well, what's the trick then? The trick, William Potter, is not minding that it hurts. So David is fascinated by this, and he repeats it several times. The trick, William Potter, is not minding that it hurts. The trick, William Potter, is not minding that it hurts. And I think actually one of the Watergate conspirators had a similar party trick. He'd stick his thumb in a cigarette lighter flame, and would say the very same thing. Well, the thing is this, that wouldn't it be great if human beings didn't mind pain? I mean, you need pain. You need to have a warning light that comes on. Like your digital camera. You're trying to take a picture, you've switched the flash off, and a red light comes on saying, sorry, you can't take this picture because there's not enough light. Or, the exposure will be too long and it'll all be fuzzy. Right? A warning light. Why can't pain just be a warning light? Why must pain be painful? You say, well, okay, evolution needed to take care of the fact that human beings start off as being very young and they don't know that this is really bad, and if you cut your finger, it could get infected, etc. If you stick your hand in a fire, it's going to get burnt. So there are very good reasons why. I talk about evolution. I don't know whether the theory of evolution is true or false. I'm just going to say, the thing that designed the universe, whatever that is, or the thing that made us, whatever it is. Evolution looks like, it's a pretty implausible theory, but it's the only one we've got. So it was necessary. I mean, animals, for example, aren't going to respond to warning lights. They have to respond instinctively. So you need to have this instinct. But wouldn't it be great if we could get rid of this instinct, if we could control it, if we could be like Lawrence of Arabia, supposedly? I mean, was he really like that? Did he really mind pain? In a later scene, he gets tortured, and he definitely minds that. And he also gets buggered by this horrible Turk, and he definitely minds that. I think it probably broke him. He was never the same again, after that. I mean, it's a horrible scene. Anyway, so the third thing I'm going to quote is actually Hilary Putnam, who's an American philosopher, and wrote a seminal paper called Brains and Behavior, which is, I've actually got the sources. It's a book called Analytical Philosophy, second series, edited by R. Butler. And his aim was to show that behaviorism runs into extreme problems, because you could imagine what he called a race of super Spartans who are literally born without this natural capacity, this natural tendency to exclaim and be very upset when they get hurt. For them, it is like a warning light coming on. Of course, you've got to know that your hand is in a flame, or that you've been cut, or whatever, or you've got something wrong with your stomach, or whatever. But that knowledge needn't be painful. It needn't hurt. You needn't mind. So what is this? This minding aspect? apparently, when we think about androids or AIs or whatever, it's kind of, we're designing one. We would definitely want to design one that could use pain as a warning light, but not mind it. It's a fantastic advantage. But more than that, what is it to mind something? What is it to be moved by anything? Well, let me put the question a different way. Let's say you've made, this is what you sometimes get. You get this idea that an AI could be a computer that you talk to, right? Why would the computer reply to your questions? It's got to want, it's got to be interested. It's got to have some reason to do stuff. It's got to be moved to do stuff. Of course, you can set it on, some kind of automatic thing. That's how computers work. Cause and effect. But it's got to make decisions, and those decisions, if it's conscious, if it's intelligent, those decisions are based on things that it wants, things that it's moved by, things that it cares about. Why should it care about anything? And of course, that's the defining characteristic of Dasein, as Heidegger claims, is care. Being in the world is care. This is what it is to be in the world. It is what it is to be a subject of experience. It's to care about stuff. And I feel obscurely, although I can't show this or prove this, that this is going to be the kind of the wedge that pushes back against materialism. The fact that we care about stuff. And certainly for me, and that I was making this point repeatedly in my book, the most important question for me is being motivated. It's caring about something. I didn't have to make this video, but I felt the need to make it. When I take my camera out, it's because I want to take photographs. But why would I want to take photographs? Why would anyone want to take a photograph of anything? Why do anything? It isn't enough to say, oh, well, somehow it's built into the mechanism, the human mechanism, to desire things. That's not a good enough explanation. We are moved. We have passions. We care about things. I mean, another area of in which that is incredibly important is sexual behavior. Why is rape considered so bad? Why isn't it just a form of assault? Well, you can imagine, the German women in 1945 being repeatedly raped by Russian soldiers, and if you could get yourself into a frame of mind where you no longer cared about it, you'd just see it as a kind of an inconvenience. You'd remember not to put on any underwear, and you'd just try to get on with your life. But the fact is that human beings feel a terrible sense of shame and violation when they get raped. Rape isn't just a physical assault, it's something else. But it's only something else because of what human beings care about. And what we care about could be different. And, maybe, if someone did make an android, it wouldn't in the least mind about being raped. It wouldn't even have a concept of it. Because it's not it would register that something was happening to it, and it would do the appropriate behavior. But it wouldn't mind it. So somehow minding about things to me seems to be a key, but I don't know how to develop it further than that. So what do we have? We have a theory, materialism, that all I can say is I just know that it's false. But I don't have, my refutation of materialism is simply on the grounds that it's irrefutable. That it's designed in such a way that nothing could ever topple it, no matter what you put forward. It would always have a response. A material being would do, properly configured, would do that, would behave in that way. So I'm going to end on an aporetic note today. I don't have any way of pushing this any further forward. I feel somehow, as I said, that caring, minding, being motivated in the way I've described, where it's not just a warning light, but something that moves you, and pain is the one of the best examples, has a special status in this, is a way in, is a wedge that will enable us to see why materialism is false. And of course, if that is the case, what else would it be? What else kind of thing? Dualism doesn't work because I can run the same argument. This is the point I made in my last video. Someone could have a soul just like mine, so that doesn't work either. Maybe idealism, maybe we are all it or something, but that doesn't move me at all. And another thing I was going to talk about was this whole thing about identity and non-identity. These claims are empty. It's empty to talk about my being identical to the I that existed 5 minutes ago or even 5 seconds ago. Sessions of identity and non-identity are equally meaningless in this context. And Kant makes this point in the paralogisms of pure reason against Descartes. So, I'm going to end it there because I don't have anything more to say today. But I will review this, see how far the argument has got, and see what more I can add later. So I will say bye for now.